Hi everyone, I am here today to do an in-depth jump-in review of Animal Crossing's New Horizons official companion guide by Future Press. This is a book that clocks in at over 400 pages and I have read it cover to cover and also used a lot of the things inside so I can give an accurate review for this book. I will say quickly, for those that just want to know a basic rating, I gave this 4 stars out of 5. So let's jump further in. First of all, the book itself is very well made, but it's, interestingly, for a paperback, got a dust jacket on it too. The dust jacket is nicely made, it's quite thick, and you can actually feel the leaves on this too. But enough about the dust jacket. The actual book itself, then naked, also still looks equally nice. Like, I don't think that they necessarily needed the dust jacket, they could have just worked with just this, but both are absolutely stunning and it's nice to have the option of which one to go for. I'll probably just leave mine like this a lot of the time because I'm using it on a daily basis while playing the game. It also comes with 2 adorable bookmarks. So there's the Isabel one and the Timmy and Tommy one, and I'm so happy to have those. I probably won't ever use the backs of them because they've got helpful extra information on the backs. So everything's really been thought out with these, and I'll be using the Isabel one a lot. So back onto the book, I do think it has been bound really well. It feels substantial and well made. Like, I could abuse it quite a bit, and indeed have abused it quite a bit by using it, and it still feels sturdy and it's not too messed up or anything. Like, this is done well. Also, for those wondering, it does just fit through the letterbox. If you wanted to order it and you're unsure about kind of getting something delivered right now, it will fit through your letterbox. But mine did get slightly damaged going through the letterbox. I don't know whether you can, yeah, you can just about see that there, but it's not a big deal. So yeah, we will now jump deeper into this gorgeous, beautiful book. So first of all, we've got chapters that are separated into such wonderful ways where it makes so much sense how they're organised. You can find what you want really easily. On top of that, I think it's something that works really well for beginners to the series. It talks you through literally everything. If you've never played Animal Crossing before, this is a great resource to actually use to get you into the game and understanding everything that's going on, because the game itself, while it does handhold you a little bit, it's not the idea of the game in mind to sort of handhold you all the way. It just kind of leaves you to it. It tells you about stuff and then just goes, yeah, go do it. And the levels that this goes to, it goes from the beginner's basic stuff to really in depth. If there's something you want to know about in the Animal Crossing world, it will be in this book somewhere in incredible depth. You get introduced to all the characters and the gameplay mechanics. So the characters that are sort of around all the time that have shops versus the characters that you kind of see visiting the island on random daily basis. There's a chart telling you what days you can expect that they might even end up visiting, which is really handy because then you know if you've had such and such a visitor that you're not going to get those again that week, and which ones will then possibly pop up on other days but wouldn't because they've clashed with others. And it's such a helpful thing. A lot of these visitors also have specific things that you might want to collect, such as, for example, Gulliver, a seagull who pops up on your island on a very regular basis from what I've felt so far. He has a chance of sending you, once you've helped him, a gift, and there's a certain amount of gifts that he can send, and they're quite rare items. Then not something you can get from anywhere else in the game, and so you might want to track which of those you've actually managed to collect and which ones you haven't yet received from him, and you can do that because there's a handy checklist. The same goes for anyone who opens a shop, anyone who opens a stall outside of your town hall. You get checklists for all of them. There's also a guide to the stock market, which is the in-game stock market. If you are into this, it doesn't go as in-depth as what you possibly could do if you were to look online, but it goes incredibly in depth compared to what you'd probably expect to normally stumble across. There is a lot of information on there. There's also a chapter dedicated to the character KK Slider. You also get to learn about all the different residents. The section that they've got for the residents is amazing. It'll show you a picture of them along with when their birthday is, their favourite colours, their style, their character, what their room originally looks like. And that's really helpful things to know, because like, for example, I've got a birthday coming up in my town in a couple of days, and I was trying to sort of work out what would be the best present for this villager, and this book helped a lot with that. You also get an in-depth guide into all the possible tools you can get in the game. It goes more into the actual crafting side of things, along with extra accessories that you can get. For example, there's a pan flute. If your villager crafts that, they are then able to play that item, and that's a really handy thing to know. So it shows you all the items where you have the capability of doing that. There's also a guide to earning more bells. And most interestingly of all, there is a storyline progression chart. Up until this point, the book does a really good job of making sure that you don't learn about anything that you would consider a spoiler until this point. And then even at this point, it just tells you to not look at that bit and to work through stuff before then looking at it. But I just thought it was really nice to know, and the checklist for working through stuff is quite handy, though because this book came out so late, I'd already done everything on that checklist by the time it came out, so it was a bit sad really. You then get an in-depth look into the Nook mileage program, and by in-depth I mean it tells you every single one that there is, along with what reward you can get, what you need to do to get it, and it's again in a little checklist kind of format, and that is just absolutely wonderful for the obsessive player like myself that wants to collect and do everything. We then go into a look more into the seasons, and these look absolutely stunning, but beyond that it goes so much more in depth as ever. So it tells you all the special things that happen during the seasons. Clearly not all the special ones, because there is an update coming out literally as this video is going up. So yeah, not everything. It gives you appearance rates of special items that you might need for crafting seasonal items, along with a checklist of what you can get. There aren't actual boxes that you can check for this bit, which annoys me a little bit, but you could still tick next to it if you wanted to. There's also a really handy weather guide telling you about all the special weather within the game, what type of weather you can expect to get at certain seasons, the likelihood of certain weather in certain seasons. Like, it is massively in-depth. It also goes into growth stages of various different plants, which if you're not overly familiar with Animal Crossing, I think can be really helpful. And then it goes into flower breeding, which is something that a lot of kind of more hardcore players are interested in. It's not so much a casual player kind of thing, but the hardcore players or the completionists or just the people who want an aesthetically pleasing island would really benefit from this. And there are guides online, but they're a bit hit and miss. Some of them contradict each other even because the game's so new. But this book, wow, does it go in depth. It shows you all the possibilities for each type of flower with each colour, what can make what colour, and the likelihood of it making that colour, because some colours are more likely to make some colours more than other colours. Wow, that was the word colour a lot. But yeah, highly worth having a delve in just for that alone if you're massively into creating your hybrid flowers. You then also go into fishing tips, occurrences of said fish, and again that was done in such an in-depth and geeky way. The layout of that is just amazing. And you've got one of those for bugs as well, which is again really in-depth and helpful, if a bit over the top for me personally. But it also then gives you checklists for each of them, which is fabulous, because there's nothing more fun than tracking which bugs you still need to hunt down, and then you can look at that and work out what season and when and where for you to potentially be able to hunt that bug or catch that fish. There's also a fossil checklist. Now, I think this one is fabulous, but again, because the game's been out quite a while at this point compared to the guidebook, I'd already got a lot of my fossils. The only way that I could work out, maybe I'm being dumb, maybe there was some other way, but the only way I could work out which fossils I'd got was to go around my museum literally looking, and it was fun. I'd not been in my museum again for quite some time, so it was great to look at what I had managed to accumulate, but at the same time, it was a lot and it took a while. But then after that, we go on to further checklists, so there's lists of prizes for the fishing tournaments and the bug tournaments. There's no tick box again for these, but that didn't bother me so much. It was nice to just be able to look at what you can actually get, because you've got no idea. When I went over to CJ with the last fishing tournament and was like, yeah, I've got points, give me prizes, I didn't know what the pool of prizes were, and I didn't take part enough to get all of the prizes, not that you'd know anyway. So it was handy to just know what I'd got versus what you can get. There's also a guide for the resources, and it goes from very basic down to like really in-depth information on those too. You can see the possible seasonal DIY recipes for each season, and then you also get a checklist as well for those, which was really handy and fun for me to look through and see what I'd managed to get and what I hadn't. Again, this is probably outdated already, but what are you going to do? So then you move on to the house and island rating score guides. So it's quite an in-depth system into how they work out your rating on your island and also your happy home rating. And each of those have got so many different aspects involved, and you can get as deep and involved in this as you want to. You can keep it quite basic, or you can really go obsessive on this. It will also show you the penalties involved for those and what will affect your scoring negatively. So that's really handy to know too. You then move on to terraforming, and it gives you a really kind of beginner's guide into terraforming and builds it up from there, and then shows you pictures of some wonderful possible things that you can do with terraforming. And I was looking at that going, I'm inspired now. My island is going to change. It then moves on to customization, because the whole aspect of this game is so much more about customizing your island and everything about it how you want to, more than any other Animal Crossing game ever has. And it shows you how you could put face paint on your characters. That's not something I'm into, but it's handy to know that there's a guide there for making your own face paint. There's tutorials on how to make, for example, picnic blanket patterns. It's so helpful and in-depth, and definitely an area that I need to go back to because I really want to make my own picnic blanket. And then the final section within the book is just checklist heaven. This is the main reason I personally bought the book, and for the most part it didn't disappoint. It's a really handy feature to have. I mean, it's just a cataloguing dream. There is a catalogue checklist area for wands. You've got a catalogue of all the clothing from the various different sources of shops in all of the possible colours, and you can checklist which colours you own. Here's my negative point. I found it incredibly difficult sometimes to tell what colour the game thought that an item of clothing was versus what colours I'd got in my guidebook. Sometimes the colours really didn't match up properly, and I was there just going, neither, and was just kind of just guessing which it was I owned and kind of marking it in a slightly different way because I was just unsure as to whether it was the one I had or not. So that will make collecting a little bit more of a pain in that aspect, and I don't know how they can get around that, because I don't know whether it was changes that were made in the game after they'd started making the book or vice versa. And yeah, it's just one of those things I'm gonna have to learn to accept, I think, sadly. But it does such a good job of listing literally every item. I mean, you've got every top, you've got every bottom half, you've got every dress, you've got every hat, hairpin, wig, glasses, random other facial items of which I won't spoil. Like, you've got a bit of everything. There's the umbrellas. You've got a section for cataloguing the reactions that you've collected, and I'll show you pictures of the reactions as well. Again, there's no tick box area for this, which annoyed me a little bit. I think they're underestimating how much people like me really like to collect in this game. There's also a list of every possible house customization kind of route that you can go down. You've got all the fences, you've got bridges and inclines, which is particularly handy if you want to look at them all while you're sort of still in the planning stage, which is pretty much where I am still on my island. I'm still very much planning, and so it's really helpful to be able to look and think what kind of bridge and what kind of stairs you want where in advance. There's also a full furniture catalogue, which again is one of the main things that I wanted this guidebook for, and the furniture section doesn't disappoint. It doesn't bother going into all the different colour options in the sense of tick boxes, which I thought would annoy me, but it actually didn't. It tells you whether you can customise this item yourself and turn it into other colours, or whether you need to buy it in different colours. That is information you do have on each item. And so you can learn from there what you want to do with that item as and when you acquire it, and whether you need to go and buy more as various different colours pop up, or whether you need to buy more and then customise them, or, you know, your options are endless. And this area was something that I really appreciated. It's all organised in such a wonderful way. After that, you get a full flower and plant list. This bit doesn't have tick boxes, which annoyed me again a little bit, but I suppose I could tick next to them again. You get fish models, there are insect models, you get pictures of every KK Slider album cover. Impressively, there's a TV guide, which I might have to check out. I've not yet put a TV in my house, but I think I'm gonna have to check this bit out soon, because then I can find out what the weather's gonna be the next day. You can collect different postcards by either sending them to yourself or sending them to friends, or collecting the ones that villagers send you. You can get residence pictures, and there are two options for this. You can either get a poster from going to Harv's or Harvey's Island and taking photos with your villagers, or using Amiibo to take photos with various different characters. And then you are able to buy those characters' posters the next time that you go to the Nook Miles machine. Or you can also tick off little tick boxes for each individual resident's personal picture that you get when you are very good friends with them. This is a very sought after item, and this bit will make the cataloguing side of the game very slow going. But it's nice to have very long-term goals, and I do have very long-term goals for this game. It talks through quite in depth the Amiibo process, along with the residents and all the different stuff that you can do on there, who can be invited and who can't. So that's a really handy chapter as well if you do use Amiibo. Finally, there's a brief bit telling you about New Year's Eve, how that works, and what you can buy that's special for New Year's Eve. And that is where the book ends. And you're probably thinking, wow, you sound like you love this book. Why is it only 4 stars? It's 4 stars because A, the clothing was just an issue for me, like the tick boxing system for that, being able to tell what an item was colourway wise versus what the game thought the colour was, wasn't the best experience for me. And also the fact that this book, I've had it a couple of days and it's already massively outdated because there's the Easter update. Fair enough. But then we have the trailer drop a couple of days ago as you're watching this for an update that goes up today that gives you so many more things. And it's not just a few things, like it's a lot of different things being added to the game. And these aren't in the guidebook. And I know that it's a problem in this day and age. And I don't know how they could get around it. Like, the way they'll probably get around it is to make a new one in a couple of years' time and just sell that. And that would be irritating. Fair enough, but irritating. And I'd probably be tempted to buy it so I could catalogue where I was up to at that point with the newer stuff. But still, another way they could possibly get around this is to make some sort of online only add-on where you've got a code from buying the book and they could give you extra access that way, or they could just ignore the existence of this extra content forever. Who knows what will end up being the way that they go with this book with all these updates. But all the same, I'm glad I bought this book. It's still highly worth it in my opinion, and it's just stunning and so helpful to me. And like I said, I use it while I'm playing constantly, and it's such a handy resource to have for that alone, and makes it worth it alone just for me because I am so obsessed with the cataloguing within this game. So yeah, Thank you so much for watching this review. If you play Animal Crossing and this review has helped you decide on whether you want to pick up the book or not, let me know in the comments down below. I would love to hear from you. If this is your first time watching me, thank you very much for watching, especially to the end. Thank you so much to everyone who has watched this review, even if you watch all my videos and you're not into Animal Crossing. But this was just such a wonderful chance for me to coordinate my love of books with my love of Animal Crossing and cover both in one video, if you like, in hopefully a helpful manner. So thank you so much for watching this video. If you liked it, please give it a thumbs up. Subscribe by clicking the image of me if you want to see more book reviews and other bookish content from me, and I will see you soon. Bye bye.